Hello everyone, back again with what I hope will be a very interesting review, or at least a review, of Carmen Sandiego, the Netflix series that was just released a couple of days ago, January 18th, 2019. I stumbled upon the trailer and, well, I decided to give it a shot because this was my childhood right here. So let's get rolling. First things first, I know there was quite a bit of heat coming off this show from the older fans. It's been running mostly as a game since 1985. And that means I'm not as well versed in the original world as probably some fans are. I did grow up watching the TV show that went by the same name, actually went by a different name, but the name of the franchise is usually, quote, "Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?" unquote. Now, not being that well versed in the games, here's how it usually goes. The player, who is either you in the game or the kid behind the computer in the show, plays as young agents of Acme who spend the entire show or game trying to catch Carmen Sandiego, who is like this international thief who jumps around the world stealing priceless artifacts. I watched this on Cubo TV or whatever it was called, and it instantly became one of my favorite shows. I instantly fell in love with the character of Carmen Sandiego way back when. She was an elusive, badass female, and there weren't a lot of those back when I was growing up. They were all male characters, and I mean, it's fine to be a male character, but as a small human, I wanted to be told I could still steal things too. Anyway, that was the main shtick, that she was a crimeswoman who never caught. Red trench coat, red hat, and she always gave these little hints, but you were never able to catch her. And just when you thought you had her 100% cornered, bada bing, bada boom, she's gone and you're on to the next episode. Okay, it was a kid's show, so there wasn't much character development in it. Zack and Ivy were pretty flat as far as I remember, and they were the Acme agents I was talking about earlier, and so were Carmen. Everyone was the embodiment of their character, which is okay, because you got the dynamicness out of watching the show. Looking back on it, it was actually kind of cut and dry. Every episode, you knew what was going to happen. Carmen never got caught, no matter how close you thought you were. But of course, I still fell in love with it. Kind of like how in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, the greatest thing about it is almost what it could be. Because what they established there was a great foundation, but you keep watching it for the potential that it could have. And that's also why it got a lot of hate, because it didn't live out a lot of that potential. But the difference between these two things is you're not looking for the potential to change. You're not looking for the characters, you're just trying to catch a baddie. And in this case, that baddie is Carmen Sandiego, or one of her henchmen, because she created that one organization, Vile. At least that's what she did in all the older generations. I'll be getting to that in a second. When I think of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, I'm thinking mostly of the 90s TV show, since I never really got into the games. I'm pretty sure there was a 2015 reboot of the game or something like that I read about, but show-wise, this is the first thing they've come out with in about 20 years or so, so it's definitely much, much different. Like, I'll take a brief moment to talk about the animation, because we have some very interesting flat 2D animation. It's a style I don't see quite as often anymore. You get a lot of more 3D-ish animation, so this is a welcome surprise. And I do love the character designs. It takes a bit of while to get used to, but I do quite enjoy the character designs. Carmen especially, I love it. I love the coat. I love the format of how they do it. They bring together her original look to something that you can love and follow as a main character. So, back on topic. Originally, the show is told from the point of view of young Acme agents Zack and Ivy as they get whipped around the world in a massive time game of Where's Waldo. By the way, I found some really weird-ass cosplays of this, like Carmen Sandiego and Where's Waldo. Like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego and Where's Waldo is not the first crossover I ever would have thought of, but those cosplays exist, together, kissing. It's really weird. I don't know what side of the internet I stumbled upon. But basically, in each episode, they have a voiceover of this British guy telling you facts about each place you're going to, and that ties into the plot of wherever you're going in that particular episode. And actually, Carmen takes that over in this show. So we don't have that British guy from Acme telling you about the location. It's just Carmen, like, going from place to place, like, discovering the world. Now to the review part. Now, obviously, if I hated this show, I wouldn't be reviewing it at all. Because, as y'all say, if you don't like a goddamn freaking media, then keep your opinions to yourself, or people like me are gonna take them and shove them up places you didn't know could have opinions. Looking at you, new generation Yu-Gi-Oh haters. By the way, link summoning ain't that bad at all. If you don't like something, let it die. Otherwise, just shut up. So just a general overview, I do enjoy the show. In fact, I binged the entire thing in one sitting, minus the time I took off to go to work. All the nostalgia that the original bring to the table while still being quick and entertaining. The thing is, I thought it was going to be painful and cringy. Just right from the get-go, I thought I was going to hate it. But it all actually flowed together pretty well. It was an easy-to-swallow show. I wasn't a big fan at first of her peers in Vile. In fact, I wasn't a big fan of any of the side characters at first. But Vile specifically, they made a thieving academy for evildoers in this story. And besides Tigress, who I would like to say is her main rival, all of them seemed pretty disposable. In fact, most of them still do to me at the end of this show, at least the Vile characters. This was part of her becoming Carmen Sandiego, so I let it slide because those are people from her past, and I don't particularly like them as characters, but they are, I guess, useful. A couple of them don't need to be there, but you know what? The fact that they are there does make it a little bit more realistic. And in this show, speaking of realistic, they humanized Carmen quite a bit. She's pretty young in this story. Like, it's a kid's show, so I'm pretty sure she's like 15, 16 at the oldest at this point. And you see the humanistic aspects of her that you don't normally see in other parts of the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego franchise. This makes us prone to seeing her fail in the future. Because yes, she may probably be the world's best thief right now, and she has all the tools to be better, but she can still be cornered, and she can still mess up. She has a vulnerability to her that all the Carmens before her didn't have. And I happen to quake this quite a bit, because one of my favorite TV tropes of all time is watching the strong ones get hurt. And I don't mean the invincible ones. I mean the ones who are built to be strong. Specifically the morally ambiguous ones who get hurt because deep down they're not all that bad and they're standing up for humanity or their morals or someone they're close to. It's the main thing that got me hooked on Kaido Tenjo from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal and why I am Xyz's trash to this day. I wouldn't say Carmen is vulnerable by any means, but she's a good guy in this story, which means she probably can and will get hurt. Maybe emotionally, maybe physically, she's still human at the core. And the way I've been comparing it to people is that this series is like Leverage, but animated. She has a crew of people, she goes in and makes sure that good guys aren't wronged, specifically in the form of stealing. And of course, a thief that only steals from other thieves, a thief that only goes after wrongdoers. This is a twist that I can sit on because I absolutely love that. It's what got me hooked on Leverage because it's like, I love the act of thievery. I don't like stealing from people who can't afford it. It's a Robin Hood sort of thing. And sure, it's a Robin Hood vigilante sort of thing. And everyone likes a vigilante. So yeah, this show is pretty good. I actually enjoyed it quite a lot, and I can't wait for them to get on to the next season. It's a relatively short series. I can't even remember how many episodes, but it wasn't a lot, maybe 10, 12 episodes. And it only has one season so far, but I'm liking what I see. Is it the best series in the world? Well, no. There's this really annoying French detective, reminds me of that Pink Panther detective. I can't even pronounce his name, so I'm not even gonna try. And he's the most annoying thing in the world in the beginning of the series. But I will tell you this, as cringy as you may think any of the characters are at the beginning, I fell in love with every single one of them by the end, minus the Vile characters I was talking about earlier. So, give it a watch. It's definitely worth at least trying. And one more thing before I go. This franchise is infamous for Carmen always talking back to the player of the game. She'd addressed him as, quote, player, and you'd work around that. So this show is kind of like an AU rewrite sort of deal, and they did a spin on that sort of idea too. The player, he's the hacker friend, I guess you could say. He's the hardison of the group, and codename player, so that's what she calls him by, and every time she talks to him, I get really excited all over again because it's like a partnership, and I love that quite a bit between Carmen and the player. So, again, this reminds me of Leverage so much, and definitely enjoyed that quite a bit, so give it a watch. Thank you guys, as usual, for watching. I'm back, maybe not with some of the content you're used to, but back. I'm thinking of posting audiobooks, chapter by chapter, on this channel, as I hope to get a different audience for my novels. So be on the lookout for that. Follow me on Wattpad and Twitter, link in the description, and my Patreon is linked in my channel. Have a good one, guys. Happy New Year. Maya out.